I don't like people to do cardio. It increases cortisol. So instead, I recommend that you do, weight training, 9 to 12 reps if you can. And you can do some sprints with that. That's the optimal way to lose weight. So the idea is to build muscle, which naturally helps you lose fat more. So resistance training, then when you're sat at your desk or whatever you're doing, your metabolic rate is going to be higher for several hours after you finish training. So while you're sat on your butt, you're going to still be burning into calories. Whereas cardio, you're never going to get that.
Hey folks, it's Mike Mutzel here with HighIntensityHealth.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode number 108. Today we're going to talk about weight loss and mindset and different strategies and tips that expert personal trainer and fitness and wellness coach Natalie Portelli has helped her patients and her clients improve their health over the years. She's a biosignature practitioner and has done a lot of work with Charles Poliquin, who I just emailed up some dates actually last night. So Natalie, Charles, and I are going to get on the show here when he gets back into the U.S. in August. So thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So maybe let's start out with your journey and how you got into wellness and training and fitness.
Well, way back in 2002 or 2003, I was about 21. And I just started exercising and learned really that it was just a really good release at that time for sort of pent up energy. And that's how I got into exercise and training. Started training people for weight loss, and also I do golf conditioning as well. But that's more because of my family being such keen golfers. But yeah, my journey from personal training just took me to the weight loss and well-being path, because I just, most people need help with weight loss. It's a big problem at the moment. And I studied through Paul Chek, Charles Poliquin, just loads and loads of great mentors.
That's fantastic.
Just gathered all my information over the years and designed an online weight loss program, which has everything in it from training, nutrition, mindset coaching, everything that people need to lose weight.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some high hit rate things since you've been doing this for 12 years and so forth. Do you think that the mindset is more important than the diet, or is it the workout routine? Like, what have you figured out that really gets people results?
The two most important things are commitment and mindset, definitely. So obviously the training and nutrition and all of that is really important, but unless they change their mindset, none of that's going to happen. So if you always think the same way that you've always thought, you're always going to weigh the same that you've always weighed. It really is key. And I think it's overlooked a lot by a lot of weight loss programs out there. People don't tend to touch on it very much. Right.
Yeah, we really focus on, as they say in like functional medicine, some of the biomedical stuff, calories in, calories out, insulin, leptin, gut bacteria and all that, which are very important. But like you said, if someone doesn't change their maybe repetitive thought patterns, or, they don't stay committed or consistent. So any books or resources that you found to be effective to help people? First, let's talk about the mindset component.
There's not really one book that I found, to be honest. I've spoke to a few colleagues that I've had, lifestyle coaches, and it's just really come from experience of working with weight loss people time and time and time again. And not just the positive stories. To be honest, I've learned more from the not successful weight loss stories. And you go back and you ask those clients, why didn't it work, or what do they think held them back? I've done questionnaires over and over and run loads of research campaigns with overweight people and discovered the biggest thing that they found was limiting them was their mindset. And it's really, really simple. There's simple ways that you can change it. One of the biggest things is to not diet and not think of dieting. So as soon as someone decides they want to lose weight, the biggest thing they first do is try and cut out foods. And the way the human mind works, as soon as you try and cut something out, all you can do is think about it. It becomes like an obsessive thing. Wherever you go, all you see is that food. So if you're thinking, I'm going to try and cut out bread or cakes, that's all you're going to see and think about. I prefer to start with is to tell clients not to diet, and I explain the reasons why diets don't work. It decreases your metabolism, it makes you store fat, you lose muscle. So even though people will lose weight from dieting, they're going to make themselves a fat storing machine. So as soon as they stop dieting, they're just going to store loads of fat. They're going to have no metabolism, and their body's going to just store everything that they eat. So, and people hate diets. They're miserable. You know, when you meet someone on a diet, they are miserable. They look miserable. They hate the fact that they can't eat what they want to eat. So the biggest thing is to first tell clients not to diet and start thinking of adding in foods instead. So one of the things I like to do is I don't take anything away for a long time. I add in nuts, increase water intake, I increase protein intake, increase coconut oil, we increase lime, just increase loads of different foods. And they help to balance neurotransmitters, which help your mood. They balance your energy, so you make better choices for the rest of the day, reduce sugar cravings. So instead of thinking of cutting things out, they're not even thinking they're on a diet. They're now focused on all the things they can have. And that just works so much better. So that's the first mindset change, is to not think of cutting out and think of adding things in.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of books when it comes to motivation and things like that. There's a couple of books I've read recently, Switch by Dan and Chip Heath and The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. They all focus on things that you're good at and that you excel at. And kind of what I'm teasing out here, although it's related but unrelated at the same time, is you're trying to focus on what people can eat instead of, we, like you said, a lot in the diet category. When you're on a diet, you're focusing on what you can't eat, and then that becomes this obsession. Can't eat pizza, can't eat ice cream, can't eat cookies, and then so when you do have them or an opportunity arises, people overindulge, and then they feel guilty and overexercise, and it creates this vicious cycle. Where in contrast, right here, you're saying is focus on the foods that are healthy, that are good for you, maybe high in fat, high in protein, and consume ample quantities of those, and then. So I guess my next question would be then, what are we taking out? I think it's carbs, but any tips there?
Yeah, so I mean, by the time you've added all these good things in, there's actually, people are still going to be eating some of the wrong things and high sugary foods, but there'll be less of them because there's less room for them. So, and the other good thing is about starting your day with nuts, coconut oil, things like that, that will set your neurotransmitters, as I said, and your mood for the entire day. So then you'll make better food choices later on. If you start your day on a bowl of cereal or toast that's sugary, that blood sugar is going to crash at some point, and your body's going to try and keep the blood sugar up. So you're going to crave sugary things later on. So the idea is that it will help you eat better, have less sugar cravings, so that you are eating less of those things. But yes, you're going to have to cut out or reduce sugars at some point. So, but to be honest with clients, by the time they've added all these things in, I do find that there's minimal amounts then to reduce. And they've started to feel a lot better about themselves anyway, and they're not craving those sugars as much. Mm-hmm. But definitely refined sugars like biscuits, cakes, they've got to come out.
Yeah. So what I heard you say right there is, some people, when they're not exercising, they don't have a good body image. You're saying that you found through your experience that they'll want to maybe seek comfort in processed sugary foods, but then once their body image improves, they have more willpower against those items.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's many reasons why people overeat, and that is actually another that interlinks with another mindset change. What I like to get people to do is to be aware of their triggers. So everyone will have a trigger. It might be that when you're lonely, you overeat, and it might take you a few times of overeating before you're aware of that trigger. But eventually you will realize, like, oh crap, I overate then, or I ate badly because I felt lonely, or however you felt, depressed, stressed. A lot of people eat when they're stressed because of cortisol. So once you're aware of the triggers, I do find that even just being aware of them can really help you prepare. So when you feel like a stressful situation is coming up, or a situation where you're going to be lonely, you can prepare for it. You can start, you could get some healthy snacks, and there's loads of good choices out there that you can get. There's like frozen yogurt, frozen coconut yogurt that's delicious, but really good for you, full of friendly bacteria. So if you know that you've got a time coming up when you normally overeat, you could buy something like that and eat that instead. There's just being aware of your triggers can help. But yeah, like with really overweight people, it's that vicious circle, isn't it? You're overweight, you're depressed about your weight, so then you overeat because of that. And you go into like a self-destruct, almost self-harm mode. I've had loads and loads of people, loads of clients that are really overweight, and they've come to me after being on these fad diets. And I find that the bigger people are, the more they want to lose weight quicker, and they often fall victim to quick weight loss schemes. But I feel that they set themselves up to fail, because no one can stick to them. They're way too hard, way too intense. I could never stick to them. They're just impossible. And eventually they fail and fall off, and it just reconfirms that they're a failure, reconfirms that they're never going to lose weight. And they just get stuck in that vicious circle of not believing they can ever lose weight, because everything they've tried hasn't worked, but everything they've tried has been too hard because they want it so bad. So instead, they need to almost try less, in a way, as the mindset changes, to just make small changes. So I really believe that no one should go on a 360-degree turn. You know, if someone's overweight and they're struggling with their weight and they're eating really badly, they shouldn't then walk out the door or wake up the next morning and try and change their diet completely. They should just make one change and not move on to any other changes until that's become a strong habit. So a lot of the things to start with would just be drinking enough water. You know, that's the first goal that I would give someone. The second goal would be to eat nuts first thing in the morning, and then maybe increase their protein intake. And you don't move on, or just work on breakfast, and don't move on to lunch. Eat whatever you want for the rest of the day. Just really build on slow, gradual changes for long-term success. So. Great
information there, Natalie. And one of your, key mindset points you talk about is the belief. And a lot of people in, the habit change industry talk about how belief is so important. So, like you mentioned, that vicious cycle where people do these quick fixes, they lose a little weight, then regain everything that they lost plus some. So then they lose the belief that they're able to do it. So basically the key to offset that is what you're saying is reinsert better habits, better choices, and make small steps over time.
Yeah, definitely. And, whatever you believe in life, that belief is going to happen. So if you believe that you're always going to be overweight, that's exactly what will happen. And if you believe that you are going to lose weight, you will. It is, I know it sounds airy-fairy, but I really believe in positive thinking. And the way you set your mindset, that is really what is going to happen. So I try and get clients to do a grateful log before they go to bed. They write down maybe 4 or 5 things they're grateful for the day, and then a couple of things that they're grateful for that haven't happened yet. One of the things will be hitting a small weight loss goal and their big weight loss goal as well at the end. So it's about building big goals that you really believe you can achieve. And I often get to set them homework to write down their mission statement. So it's their mission weight loss statement. This is a great tip for people to do. You write down exactly what you want to look like, the exact weight that you want to be, size and shape. And, and no one else is going to read it, so they don't need to be ashamed and think they can't achieve that. They should really aim high. And then write down small goals and plan how they're going to reach that slowly and gradually. So, and then in their grateful log, every night they repeat it. So they repeat the things they're grateful for the day, and then the things that haven't happened yet. And I really believe that that helps things become a reality. But also the grateful log before you go to bed reduces cortisol. And cortisol, for those that don't know, is stress hormone. Cortisol and insulin work sort of synergistically together. They need to be balanced. So a great way to lose weight is to reduce your cortisol at night by doing the grateful log.
Oh my gosh, that's great advice there. So let's talk, maybe if we can come up here together, Natalie, with a mission statement. So if people are kind of struggling with this, like, okay, I don't know how big to make this mission statement. What is my mission? Are we talking about, something like I want to lose weight so that I can have more energy, make more money for my family, or be around for my grandkids? Like, how deep and how big do you make this mission statement?
Really, really deep. Go really deep. Like, it's personal. No one else is going to read it or see it. Write down absolutely anything. Most clients I see, when you dig deep enough, if you don't change your weight loss, the chances are you're going to have premature death. It is that deep. There's inflammation, which anyone overweight or eating sugar is going to have an inflamed body. Inflammation is one of those things that everyone sort of turns a blind eye to or doesn't understand. And it causes diabetes, it causes heart disease, it causes premature death. So you should go really deep. It should be on a shallow level as well, and aesthetically, because who doesn't want to look good and feel good? So just put everything, you can have a beach body ready. It's going to make you happy. It's going to improve your sex life. It's going to improve your relationship with your husband or your partner, or maybe it will help you to get the partner of your dreams. But at the same time, even deeper than that, it's going to give you more energy with your kids. You're going to have a better mood with your kids. And you're going to have more, maybe 10, 20 years extra to spend with them.
That's awesome. One thing that Tony Robbins has talked about for a long time, and I'm sure you've heard this, Natalie, is when you link your goal with something bigger than yourself, you're more likely to, kind of dissipate some of the fear that's associated with that. For example, if you mentioned being around for your grandkids, or being available for a spouse, or meeting that spouse or that future partner, whatever it may be, if you link that goal of losing body weight so that you have the energy, the motivation, the confidence to meet that person, or to improve your health so that you're around for your grandkids, again, making that bigger than yourself, it's different than saying, I want to lose weight so I look good on the beach, with no real higher purpose besides maybe just aesthetics. By doing that, you can actually overcome the fear associated with that goal. So it's a great way to do that for both financial goals and health goals and wellness goals. He talks about that in his book, and a couple of great books. The Motivation Manifesto by Brendan Burchard is a great one, and You Are a Badass by Jen Cicero are some good ones. What are your favorites?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't know where to start. I'm actually, at the moment, I was reading some of Tony Robbins' stuff. And Denise, Thompson as well. I think it's called, Rich, Lucky Bitch or something like that. But the mindset stuff that I really like in it. And it's all about manifesting and asking the universe for things that are going to happen. And it's about developing bigger goals and bigger dreams, and just believing whatever you believe in will happen.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, he talks about this in the context of, finances and money. But again, you got to apply the concepts in that book to what we're talking about here with weight loss and nutrition, which is great. Now, you hit on something there, Natalie, that I want to explore a little bit further, back in the cravings. And we know, certain times of the month, menstruating women crave certain things. And being a female yourself, I know you probably experience, cravings associated with your menstrual cycle. What are some tips you could offer women listening that would help them maybe be ahead of the game when it comes to, their period and what foods they can plan for, types of things they crave? Yeah,
sure. The good thing is you can have red wine and dark chocolate. They both contain resveratrol, and resveratrol is an antioxidant, an anti-estrogen. So it actually helps you lose weight by detoxifying chemicals and environmental estrogens that go into your body. So they don't have to be afraid to avoid those things. You don't want to eat like bars and bars and bars of it, but I always have dark chocolate in my cupboard. So whenever I fancy some, I can eat some and know that I'm not going to gain any weight. Red wine is great for that time of the month. If you feel a bit inflamed, it helps relax your stomach muscles. So I would definitely, that time of the month, have red wine and dark chocolate. And always exercise. You never feel like exercising then, but it's really the best thing to do. It decreases your stress and you feel a bit grumpy, improves your blood circulation. Another good tip is if you do have a lot of pain and symptoms, there is some supplements you can use, like something naturally like vitamin E is great for reducing inflammation of the wound. Yeah.
GLA is another one. I know Charles recommends that quite a bit. Adrenal support. But you hit on something too. I kind of want to, so we've moved on from some of the craving issues and creating these healthy habits, mindset. Now let's kind of tackle visualization. This back in, I think I was 9 or 10 years old, I bought Lee Haney's bodybuilding guide. He was a Mr. Olympian, multi-time back in the 80s and such. And one of the things that he would talk about in this book, and many other bodybuilders and fitness models, and even Michael Phelps and all these people, they visualize their success and what they're going to look like, what they're going to be like. So maybe share with us, how you teach people how to visualize their weight loss success.
Yes, right at the beginning when they do their mission statement, I try and get them to visualize it then. So whatever you want to look like on whatever size, you have to start visualizing yourself as that person, and almost so no longer thinking of yourself as that overweight person or that depressed person with no energy. You have to start living already as if you are that leaner, smaller person. So You might buy some clothes that are way too small for you, but you're eventually going to fit into them. And just to start visualizing your life, how it would be. So it's going from like point A to, and this is like Tony Robbins stuff as well that I've read. So taking you from point A to point B. So they write in their mission statement their dark place and what it means to them, like, they want to live longer and how bad it is to be overweight and what that means and how bad that is. But then you visualize and you think about what it would be like. What would it mean to you to be at point B when you are that leaner, happier person with more energy and look better and feel better?
Awesome.
So it's really simple, but it's very effective. And I think just a lot of my clients don't even realize that all the things that I'm doing, but just tiny little tips and dropping points here and there right at the beginning is key. So I try and get the mindset changes stuff right at the very beginning of the program. And then they sort of end up emailing me and they're like, oh my God, I went out for dinner and it's so easy now. I don't even think about it. They choose the steak and the veg, whereas before they'd have chosen the pies. And it's become like really quickly, by about week sort of 7, they already feel like they've completely changed. Their habits are already built. And it's because of the mindset changes at the beginning.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, there's, not to keep bringing up books, but there's a book called The Charisma Myth. I think Rachel Oliva, and she talks about visualization strategies, and a lot of people will do this before big meetings. And I read this back in 2011 and started doing this before meetings where I get a little nervous or uncomfortable before like a big medical group or a presentation, and I would visualize how these people how happy they would be after the meeting, which is normally how, like at the end of my best meeting, I just replay that in my head and replace the people that were in that meeting with the people I was going to meet. And it works really well. So people can really do that. And I think it's important, like you mentioned, to act that way, even though, to act like the lean, healthy, metabolically fit person, even though you're not quite there yet on the outside. Have that mantra. And persona built into your character, and that will really accelerate the healing or the growth process there, which is pretty awesome, Natalie. So let's talk about then maybe, I guess this all weaves into commitment. Anything about the mindset and the belief system and about the commitment that we can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the two biggest things I find make weight loss programs successful is the mindset and commitment. Mm-hmm. And without trying to sound like I'm selling my program, they can commit to anything they want. I advise people to commit to whatever you want, but you need to commit to something where you have something at stake. Most people, if they just say, oh, I'm going to lose weight, you might lose a bit of weight, but you won't really reach your goal unless you've committed heavily to something. So you can do that in other ways as well. You could join a weight loss group. You can post it out on social media, what you're going to do, so everyone knows that, and then you're committing to it, so you can't back down. So you could post on Facebook, for example, right, I'm going to lose 100 pounds by, whatever day. Make sure it's a realistic goal. You don't want to set yourself up to fail, so make sure it's a realistic goal that you can achieve, and just either post or commit to a weight loss program. You just need some sort of commitment, really, and to make it priority. So you have to decide that weight loss is actually a priority in your life. Start working on your mindset changes so you don't think the same way that you've always thought. And then the third thing is to really commit to something big. Or you could give a family member a chunk of money is another way. And then if you don't reach that goal that you've set, then they can donate it to charity. And if you do commit your goal, then you can get it back and book yourself a nice holiday.
That's awesome. I've heard people doing that. I don't know anyone personally that's done that, but that sounds fantastic. But back to the social media, I think, if someone's like listening to this and thinking like, oh man, I'm a little shy, I'm new to working out, maybe I shouldn't post a picture of me going to the gym or me eating healthy food on Instagram because I still kind of eat junky. But the minute that you make the private public, there's something there with a commitment, and then also a related aspect of commitment is consistency. People love to be consistent in behavior. I mean, that's just a natural human characteristic. So if you commit yourself to hitting this goal, like you said, Natalie, and start posting pictures on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, you're naturally going to change your behavior to be consistent with that commitment. And it's really effective. It's been super effective in my life, just starting on Instagram, just for family, like taking pictures of food that we eat, like really clean salads and grain-free, meals. And then we've dumped even our gluten-free corn chips and things like that. Like our kitchen is all food made from scratch. So it really works. What's your experience?
Yeah, definitely. Even small things like if I'm really tired and the only time that I've got to train is in the evening, it might be 9 o'clock at night, and I don't feel like it. If I just quickly post it, like, I've got to train again now, or I'm going to go and train, it'll make me do it because I'm not going to back down and not train once I've posted it. Right. The only thing I would say to people with weight loss, only post it on groups like Facebook if you've got control over your friends. Like if you're like me, for example, where I'm friends with thousands of people and I don't know all of them personally, you need to be careful what you post. The Facebook is saturated with weight loss at the moment and weight loss products. So I wouldn't recommend, if you've got anyone that's your friend and you post that you're going to lose weight, you're going to get hounded by hundreds of people selling you weight loss products. So only post it on Facebook if you know who your friends are.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good qualifier. That's why I like Instagram anymore. I don't know if you're on Instagram, Natalie, but it's nice. It's just
started, but yeah.
Yeah. So you can connect with a lot of people that are on a similar journey to you and find them by hashtags. And I know it's traditionally Instagram has been kind of a younger audience, but it's growing very, very fast. And I think it actually has more users now, far more users than Twitter, and it's only been around for about half the time. So if you're not on Instagram, definitely do that. My hashtag is, or my handle is metabolic_Mike. So I'd love to connect with you there. So something intrigued me about the start of, before we went online here, Natalie, and that is carb timing. And cutting out the carbs, for that initial 2 weeks. Talk to us about when someone comes in, they've done all the mindset shifts that we've been talking about. Now let's get into the macronutrients and stuff. What does their diet kind of look like?
So what you mean to my program, what I would recommend for people to do?
Yeah.
So, I like to keep it really, really simple. There's so many misconceptions out there over what you should and shouldn't eat. One of the first things that I like to tackle, and this links with mindset change as well, is fat. Like people go on low fat diets, and cutting out fats is one of the worst things you can do. You make yourself deficient in triglycerides, which is going to be really negative for your fat loss and for your health. So one of the things people need to do is I try and get them to understand the importance of eating full fat products, especially dairy products. So that's one of the macronutrients. So, the main things that food is made up of, as you know, is either carbohydrate, a fat, or protein. And you need to make sure that you're not eating the simple sugars, but you're eating lots of high smart fat foods. So things like nuts, avocados, fish, coconut oil, proteins, any protein, any meat, beef, chicken, turkey, whatever you can. Buffalo, I know you've got out there in the States, more than we've got here. Wild meat is actually brilliant. So wild meat has DHA in it, which is good for your brain, your mind function, and for losing weight. So if you can get any venison or buffalo, they're great to eat. But for general public, mostly I just try and keep it really, really simple. You just need to eat smart fats, loads of green vegetables, plenty of berries, which are sugars and carbohydrates, but they are good for you. They do reduce your risks of disease and also promote anything that helps you to detoxify will help you lose weight. So the cleaner your body is, the cleaner your diet is, the easier it is to lose weight. People often think that they will get healthy when they lose weight, but I actually like to look at it as the other way around. You need to get healthy in order to lose weight. If your body's toxic, it's going to have a really hard time. So people that store a lot of estrogens, a lot of toxins, they're going to store a lot of fat. So you need to sort of eat loads of greens, loads of berries, raspberries, blueberries, anything like that. So high protein, high smart fats, high greens, and high berries. I like to reduce the amount of sugar intake, obviously. But again, once you get people adding all the good things in, there's hardly any room left for all the other little snacks and treats. So,
right.
I do recommend that I only ever get people to aim for 80%, and that's really important. That's another mindset thing, is to never aim for 100%. I do have clients that try, and my heart just sinks when they tell me they're going to cut out this and cut out that, and I know they make it eventually, but it's going to be a longer, harder journey, because no one can stick to 100% long term. Eventually you're going to fall, and normally you fall hard and go on a binge. So I always recommend having treats every single week. You can either have them 2 on a weekend, or you can have them every 4 to 6 days, but it's really important to keep the treats up. And when people are on a low carb diet and you do eventually have carbohydrates, it does actually help through the glycemic loading. It does help you lose weight.
Sure. Now, what are your favorite carbs for people?
Sweet potatoes is probably my favorite. It's easier to get. You can get anywhere. You can even get it in the UK. Things like yams are good, but they're not that available here. Then, my favorites would be fruit and vegetables, starchy vegetables as well. But when people think of carbs, they're really thinking of something more heavier, aren't they? More stodgy. So for that, I would say sweet potatoes, any coloured rice other than white rice, so brown, red, wild, black rice, and oats as well.
Awesome.
If you need something heavier.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, there's a lot of confusion and, question as to when should you have your carbs. And I know every body is different. What's your take on eating carbs in the morning versus pre-workout, post-workout, carbing up at night? What have you found to be effective for most people?
It is individual, and sometimes you do have to experiment a little bit with each person. But for the majority of people, having them earlier on in the day is better. And also, I quite like them after training. So there has been some studies out there with having antioxidants after training could be negative, but that is more for people that are wanting to put on a lot of muscle. So for general people for fat loss, I would say have them at the beginning of the day or after training is great. I do like people that are really struggling with weight. I do like them to have, anytime you have something sugary, it's good to add some fats in. So a great tip is to have it with full fat organic yogurt or some nuts. So after you work out, you can have blueberries and some almonds or some other nuts. It's great. I just want to quickly touch on the fact that one of the biggest differences between people that are really lean and those that aren't is the way their body manages insulin. And I think it's quite important for people to understand that. The basic, most easiest way to explain it is you take sugar from your blood into your muscles and use it as energy. People that are overweight are insulin resistant. Your body doesn't take the energy well. It doesn't take the sugar out of the blood very well and use it as energy, and then it gets stored as fat. So the main thing we're always looking to do is to improve people's insulin sensitivity. So if you're insulin resistant, that's going to put you at high risk of diabetes and heart disease, and it's going to make you store fat. There's no way people can lose weight if they're insulin resistant. You need to teach your body to take the sugar out of the blood and use it for energy. And that's the biggest difference. And that is like life-changing. Once people's body starts to heal and that changes, your metabolism increases. It just becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
And there's lots of tips for doing that. And one of the things is, if you're going to eat fruit or eat sugary food, is to always have it with something like yogurt or nuts. So you're just constantly trying to reduce the way that your body deals with when you eat something sugary. So, if you eat something sugary, your insulin spikes. So it's best if you eat something like fats or protein, if you'll slow down the rate that the blood sugar is released. So it's just a good tip.
And also chew your food. People kind of forget about this, but just the act of chewing and mastication and being in a calm state activates the gut hormones, which control a huge part of insulin's activity and systemic physiology. So just not just about, like you mentioned, what you eat is super important, but also how you eat. And studies have actually shown that slower eaters consume less than faster eaters, and they have better insulin response, which a lot of people don't think about. They just kind of gobble down food.
Definitely. I think Charles, he's big on that. So chewing your food till it's liquidized in your mouth is it's hard to do, but it's a good habit that you need to form.
It is. Yeah. It's a constant reminder for us in our house. I mean, even for people like you and I who are pretty fit and kind of do this for a living, so to speak, we have to remind ourselves. So for people that are just getting into this, that's very important, but a powerful little, mindful strategy to implement. So Natalie, I've learned a lot from you, and we have some final questions here, but just want to ask before we go to those, is there anything about, weight loss or fitness or muscle building that you want to share that we didn't get to discuss?
I don't know if we're going to cover it in the next question, so I might wait till then and then see.
Right on. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we like to ask everyone that comes on the show, Natalie, what their morning routine is. We know you're running a busy practice and doing a lot of advanced education and helping people get their weight on track. So what does the first couple hours of your day look like?
So, I mean, my mornings are busy. I have a 2-year-old daughter. So my program's aimed at busy people. So the first thing is to have a handful of nuts first thing in the morning. I know I've already mentioned that, but it's really important. There's loads of different reasons for that. It does set your neurotransmitters and your blood sugar for the entire day. But if you are busy, at least you've eaten something and it's a good food choice. So you're likely to make better choices the rest of the day. I also try and eat, if I can, which doesn't always happen, minimum of 5 times a day. Before I had my daughter, it used to be 7, but now realistically, I just aim for 5. And if I've had nuts first thing in the morning, then I have a good breakfast of like an omelette or meat pâtés, something like that. I eat with my daughter, so we eat the same foods. Then I've already eaten 2 things by like 9 o'clock. So that just makes it easier. If I'm not as good the rest of the day, I've started my day well and I've already eaten 2 meals. I like to have a black organic coffee with a spoon of coconut oil. So coffee is one of the very few bitter herbs that people consume. And as we mentioned, it helps your body manage insulin better, manage sugar better. And it also has antioxidants. The coconut oil I like because it's smart fat. It balances your blood sugar, sets your neurotransmitters, but it's also a essential fatty acid. And like many people think it's going to make you store fat, but it doesn't. It does completely the opposite. So it actually is a fat that's burnt really, really quickly. It's used straight up as energy. So it's not stored as fat at all.
Yeah.
That's what I really like. If I can, handful of nuts, black coffee with coconut oil. Right.
That's awesome. Now, you said you train at night due to your schedule and stuff like that, but in an ideal world, when would you want to do your training?
Ideally, if I hate training at night. That's like my last resort. Because it just doesn't suit me. So I'm too tired and then I can't sleep after. But you have to fit it in when you can. Ideally, I prefer to train first thing in the morning. So I'm fortunate enough to have a studio at home. So if I can, I would prefer to get up early and train before my daughter wakes up. It starts your day.
Awesome. Now, I've seen in some of your videos, you do more of a full body burst style type training, but are you also doing a lot of like resistance training? Like maybe if you could in a few minutes, tell us what your training looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I always say maintaining weight loss is so much easier than losing weight loss. So I probably don't train half as hard as my clients that are trying to lose weight, to be honest with you. After I had my daughter, obviously I did train harder because I wanted to get back to shape really quick. But once you're lean, it's a lot easier. And it's more resistant training. So I don't like people to do cardio. Let's cut out cardio. It increases cortisol. It doesn't burn fat. It burns calories, but it burns fat. It doesn't burn fat well, and it burns into your muscles. So instead, I recommend that you do, weight training, 9 to 12 reps if you can. And you can do some sprints with that. That's the optimal way to lose weight. So the idea is to build muscle, which naturally helps you lose fat more. So resistance training, then when you're sat at your desk or whatever you're doing, your metabolic rate is going to be higher for several hours after you finish training. So while you're sat on your butt, you're going to still be burning into calories. Whereas cardio, you're never going to get that.
Right. Yeah, great point there. That's awesome. Fantastic, Natalie. So you probably take some supplements, or maybe you have some whole food substance that you're really a fan of. So if there was just one herb, nutrient, botanical, or whole food that you could take with you on a desert island and there's nothing else you could have, what would that be and why?
one would be a nightmare for me. But I've already mentioned coconut oil. So, I mean, that's something I would recommend to people that don't want to take supplements. It's cheap, it's easy available, and it will help you lose weight, benefit your health in so many different ways, especially for those people that have dieted and they've been on low fat. Most diets are really low fat dairy products. Your body's going to be really deficient in some of those triglycerides. So it's going to help you immensely if they can have coconut oil. The other things I like are fish oils for weight loss. So I suppose if I had to take one thing, it would probably be fish oil, because it just benefits so many different things. I don't think because it helps build the outside of your lipid, which improves your cell structure. I don't think there's actually one cell in your body that isn't benefited in one way or another from fish oil. So it helps fat loss, it helps mood, it helps neurotransmitters, it helps clients stick to their dietary changes better. It helps absolutely everything. It helps you build muscle, which helps you lose weight. But there's so many different ways that fish oil will help you lose weight. So I guess it would have to be that.
All right. That's awesome. Now, what dose have you found to be most effective for fish oil?
I do think you need to start really high for a short amount of time. So I would probably go with 15 milligrams for at least 4 weeks, and then people can reduce down after that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's probably easier to take an oil because 15 capsules is a lot. So if you're taking an oil, it's 1 tablespoon a day.
Fantastic, Natalie. So last question here. If you were to bump shoulders with David Cameron or maybe Barack Obama or someone from the World Health Organization and, could share with them one lifestyle or health tip that you feel would improve the health of the UK, maybe even the US, what would that health tip be and why?
One of the things that I can only say annoys me, to be honest, is the fact that they still allow plastics to be used with food hot. If we go into our supermarket, you can buy chicken that's heated and it's in a hot bag. We have commercials here where they promote cooking in the oven in bags and steaming in bags, which turns healthy foods into terrible foods. And I'd find it hard to believe that government aren't aware. My knowledge isn't that great, but I was aware probably like 10, 15 years ago that plastic in hot foods isn't bad for your health. It causes cancer. It causes fat storage. So one thing would be for them to ban the use and to stop advertising the use of plastics with hot food and hot drinks.
It'd be great. Yeah, it's amazing how much plastic we're exposed to, even like you mentioned, hot drinks, going to a coffee place, to hang out and, socialize with friends, and you have that plastic cup on top, and the receipts even at stores now, it's these endocrine disrupting chemicals are everywhere. Pretty scary. Yeah,
but they are everywhere, and I do think we can't get too overwhelmed with it because you can become neurotic, which is and send yourself crazy. But there's simple, like you said, there's really simple, easy changes that anyone can do that reduce your risk to cancer greatly, which is just taking your lid off your coffee. That's so simple, and everyone can do that.
Right. Or bring your own. When I travel, I have my stainless steel mug. And so I just refill that every day. When I go to Whole Foods or any city where I am, I can refill that. So it doesn't have the lid. As long as you're careful while you're drinking it and don't drive too crazy, you can prevent spilling. So they run pretty inexpensive. I think it was $18 for this great stainless steel coffee cup. So anyway, Natalie, I really enjoyed talking with you, learned a lot, and I'm sure listeners would like to reach out to you and connect with you. So maybe if you could plug your best website and any upcoming programs that you have.
Yeah, if people can find me on VIP training, vip-training.co.uk. And then on there, what I'll actually do for your listeners, for the next couple of days, I'm going to leave some spaces available in my diary. So I will put on my website my booking system link. So if any of your listeners want to book a call with me, a free strategy call, they can do. And for anyone else, if they go on there, they can sign up to my newsletters. And through my newsletters, I probably send 2 to 4 newsletters a month, so they won't get bombarded with loads. But they will have information on there of my weight loss program. I give out free training videos, nutrition tips, and I try and keep things really simple that anyone can apply very easily.
That's awesome. Sounds good, Natalie. So again, that's vip-training.co.uk.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.